Hey guys, my name is Naguura, and today I'm gonna go over the Moonkin changes in 10.1.5 because the patch is coming out now, and I'm sure Moonkins want to know what changes for them, what talents they should be running, and how the rotation is gonna look like. So let's take a quick look over the changes, and then I'm gonna go over new talent setups and what you should be looking out for as a Moonkin now. Alright, so first of all, we do have a new talent in our class tree. It's called Rising Light, Falling Light, which kind of works like the Night Elf racial. So it increases your damage and healing by 3% during the day and increases your versatility by 2% during the night. This is a talent you're just always going to pick up, and it's always going to be a nice damage increase. One thing to note is that during the day, the 3% damage increase is quite a lot better than the 2% burst during the night. Alright, then there's some mana cost changes that are not necessarily relevant. It just means that you can cast a lot more healing spells, basically. If you would want to cast them all like in a row, so you can cast more regrowths, stuff like that. Not that our healing spells really do anything, so I don't think this is really relevant for us. Nature's Vigil was reduced to 15 seconds uptime rather than 30 seconds, so it was nerfed a little bit. Still, you want to use it the same time, the same way as you used it the last time, with your cooldowns and once in between your cooldowns, and then again with your cooldowns. Then, Improved Sunfire has been moved. Of course, we still want to pick up Improved Sunfire unless you're playing full single target. And now to the balance tree. So all of our spell damage has been increased by 5%. Lunar Shrapnel has been redesigned. It now increases Starfall damage by 20% instead of having the extra shrapnel kind of procs that it used to be before, and it's also only a 1-point talent now. Waning Twilight was buffed by 2%. Astral Smolder now only lasts 6 seconds instead of 8. Wild Surges has been nerfed a little bit. Warrior Balloon now works differently. It still gives you the instant 3 Starfire procs, and the ability itself is not on a GCD, but it only lasts 25 seconds now. So, and the cooldown already starts as soon as you activate it. So you just activate it, use it the same way as you did in Season 1 to enter your solar eclipse, and then it's gonna run out. You don't have to do any cancel auraing anymore. Then Umbral Intensity has been buffed a little bit. Nature's Grace has been changed. So Nature's Grace now only triggers after an eclipse ends, and not when you extend an eclipse. So if you proc your Pulsar in Eclipse or your Incarn in Eclipse, or if you extend your Incarn with Pulsar or whatever it may be, you're not gonna get Nature's Grace anymore. You're only gonna get Nature's Grace if you exit a normal Eclipse or if you exit Incarnation. Then new moon damage is increased by 100%, half moon damage increased, full moon damage increased, and Orbit Breaker's full moon power is now 60%, was 80, so the Orbit Breaker full moon has been nerfed a little bit to compensate the buff from the ability. Fury has been nerfed a little bit, and Radiant Moonlight for Fury has been nerfed as well. Now these are the mana changes that all of the hybrid classes have gotten, same with this regrowth change and so on and so on. Now the Primordial Arcanic Pulsar buff also is displayed differently now in your buff bar. If that helps you at all, then that's a good change. If you use a weak aura, then it is what it is. Alright, so these changes overall are gonna be a slight buff for single target. And for M+ talents, it's gonna be mostly unchanged, so very little like change. And for full-blown consistent AoE damage, it's actually a pretty big buff, but that's not really something that we have right now. Like there's no scenario where we go full out AoE talents. An example would have been Season 1 the council fight, or in the raid where there was 4 bosses and you went full out AoE talents. Those kind of setups you don't do in a plus because you want single target in a plus as well. And in a raid right now, we don't really have any scenario like that. Therefore, that buff is really kind of irrelevant right now. For the future, for 10.2, maybe it could be relevant again if there's ever a fight like that. But for now, it's not really relevant. All right, so overall, this is going to be a little bit of a buff to Moonkin, but pretty minor. So don't expect to do insane amounts of damage, but don't expect to do a lot less damage or anything either. All right, now looking at their talents, I'm going to go through the single target talents first. The class tree is just a suggestion, as always. Keep in mind that you can pick whatever you want here. For the balance tree, barely anything really changes. So we're still not playing Stellar Flare, even though they tried to buff it, so we play it. But we still do not play Stellar Flare in any scenario. So you always play Wild Surges. You still play Warrior Balloon and Nature's Balance on full single target. You still play Rattle on full single target. What changes now is that we play New Moon on full single target with Radiant Moonlight. But you can also play Fury if it's not feasible for you to cast moons. It is a little bit of a damage loss to run Fury Loon now on single target, but it's not as big of a damage loss that you could not play it at all in case New Moon is really clunky, because it requires a lot of casting. You need to cast New Moon, Half Moon, Full Moon constantly, and it makes you pretty immobile because you have to stand still to cast all of the moon spells. Therefore, if there's a fight that is full single target and has a lot of movement, it might still be better to play Pure Loon, but it depends on the fight and how you're playing with New Moon. Other than that, we're still playing the same talents as well. We still play Astral Smolder to get our Waning, Twilight Uptime, and we're still playing Denizens of Dream to pack our Friend of Fae and 1 point in Balance of All Things. So everything is pretty much the same on single target, except we're switching to New Moon if you want to. Then let's go over Plus talents. These are the Plus talents that we played in like season 1, like basically right before the patch came out. Or at the start of season 2 rather, not season 1, sorry. And now we're basically playing the same thing. So even though a lot of challenges have been changed, they changed Umbral Intensity, they changed Lunar Shrapnel, they changed Nature's Grace, Waning 12, but there's a lot of changes, right? But we still stick to the same talents, mainly in a plus, just because we do not want to sacrifice a lot of single target damage to gain a little bit of extra AoE, because our AoE is already good with the talents that we run on single target, and therefore there's no reason to go full out consistent AoE builds, just because in a plus, the amount of full out consistent AoE that you do is I mean, there's some, but it's not that you fight the mobs for 5 minutes straight. You're not sitting there fighting them for 5 minutes, right? You constantly have to reapply your dots. You have to ramp your damage, basically. So having extra single target talents helps so much for smaller pools, for bosses, and so on. So dropping single target damage just doesn't really make sense for AoE. Therefore, this is what we're playing. The Astral Smolder is still something we pick up just because we want our Waning Twilight procs on AoE as well. And it has been nerfed to 6 seconds instead of 8. So it's not that as big of a nerf as it initially was thought to be, because they said they would nerf it to 4 seconds, but it turns out to be only 6 seconds instead of 8, which is not that big of a nerf at all. Now, if we technically would play a full out AoE scenario where there's full out consistent AoE, then we would pick up these talents. So we're dropping Power of Goldrin, Rattle, and Fury Loon and Radiant Moonlight, and we're picking up Umbral Intensity instead. We're picking up Lunar Shrapnel, we're picking up Umbral Embrace. So these are basically the main differences between a full out AoE spec and then a plus spec. Now keep in mind that if you play the plus spec, you can also change Rattle to Weaver, and everything else stays the same. So you just change this talent. If you want Weaver, keep in mind the difference between Rattle and Weaver is very small in M+. There's like such a minor difference that you can just pick whatever you want. For a single target, for full sustained single target, Rattle is better. And for full sustained AoE, Rattle is also better. Weaver tends to be better when there's priority target mobs in packs a lot. So if you pull, let's say you do Vortex Pinnacle, and there's always, in almost every pack, you have some mobs that you really want to priority target down, while at the same time there's still AoE going on, then Weaver gains a lot of value because you can AoE, you can spend your Astral Power and Starfall, but you're still getting single target procs for that target that you want to nuke down, right? So Weaver has this kind of added benefit that it gains some priority target damage in AoE, and you don't have to choose to only single target or only AoE like we have to do with Rattle. But again, it's a very small difference in overall damage, so just pick and choose whatever fits your needs, whatever you need for your composition, the route, whatever you want to do. You can also just try both things and see whatever fits your playstyle better. And yeah, that's basically it about the changes. Other than that, one of the more important things when it comes to playstyle changes is that we're not canceling Warrior Balloon anymore. We still want to cancel Star-Lord, unfortunately. Keep in mind, all of these canceling things, you don't have to do them. They're min-maxy things, right? So if you don't want to cancel anything, don't do it. I'm just mentioning it because people, of course, are gonna ask. So we're not canceling Warrior Balloon anymore. Canceling Star-Lord is still a damage gain. The way you cancel Star-Lord is just if there's less than 2 seconds left on your Star-Lord buff and you're about to Star Search or Starfall, you cancel the buff. It's as simple as that. Of course, you wouldn't cancel at 2 seconds left Star-Lord if you only have 40 Astral Power. At that point, you wouldn't Star Search, you would just gain more Astral Power, wait for your Star-Lord to disappear, and then Star Search or Starfall. You only cancel it if you have to Star Search or you have to Starfall, and your Star-Lord is less than 2 seconds. All right, then we're still technically speaking canceling Pulsar in our opener to get a better timing with Fury Balloon. But there's one change now with Nature's Grace that maybe makes it slightly different. So let me talk about Nature's Grace. They changed it to now only proc when Eclipse ends. So previously, at the start of Season 2, we would enter an Eclipse first and then proc our Pulsar or proc our Incarnation to get a Nature's Grace buff from exiting our Eclipse when we enter Incarn or Pulsar. But now that does not proc Nature's Grace anymore. So technically speaking, the best way to use your Incarnation or your Pulsar proc now is after an Eclipse has ended. So what you want to do technically is, if you have Incarnation up and your Pulsar is about to proc and your Incarn is about to run out, you want to wait for your Incarn to run out and then proc Pulsar. Same goes for Eclipse. If you're about to proc your Pulsar or you have your Incarnation ready, technically speaking, you would want to wait and to enter Eclipse, wait until your Eclipse runs out, and then proc your Pulsar or use your Incarnation. Now, of course, this has to be reasonable. Like, you're not gonna sit there overcapping Astral Power for 15 seconds, waiting for Eclipse to end just so you can get a Nature's Grace proc. That's obviously not what you're gonna do. But if it's only a short amount of time that you have to wait, then you are gonna wait until your Eclipse runs out before you proc your Incarn or your Pulsar to get the haste buff. So that's the main change about Nature's Grace, and that's the main playstyle change too. So the only thing we really changed with the way we're playing is that we don't have to enter Eclipse anymore to proc our Pulsar. Technically, we want to do the opposite, that we proc our Pulsar or our Incarn when Eclipse is running out. That's kind of it. We're not playing Mushrooms still. We're still not playing Stellar Flare in any situation. We're not picking up Lunar Shrapnel unless it's a full-out AoE scenario. And we're playing New Moon now once in a while on full single target. Outside of full single target, we're still playing Fury Balloon. That's about it. Alright, well, I hope you enjoy playing Moonkin in 10.1.5. If you have any questions, you can of course ask me in the comments below. You can also come over to my stream over at twitch.tv/Naguura to ask any questions there. And once the patch comes out, I will be trying all of these talents. I will be playing in Plus. I will be raiding and testing different kinds of talent trees. So if there's any other talent or anything that I prefer that is different to what I explained in this video, then I will let you guys know, of course. So thank you so much for watching. Remember to sub to my YouTube channel if you like content like this, because I'm really close to 100,000 followers, and that would be really cool if we could reach that. I would appreciate that a lot. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.